Tarek stood at the edge of the cliff, the wind whipping through his hair as he looked down at the sprawling valleys below. The colony sprawled across the rocky terrain like scattered gems, human-made buildings standing proud against the jagged cliffs and rolling plains. It was a quiet place, far from the hubbub of the inner systems, a place where humans had come to carve a life from the edge of the unknown. For most, it was a lonely outpost, but for Tarek, it was home. "Careful, Tarek! You'll fall!" The voice was light, playful, and somehow familiar, even over the roar of the wind. Tarek turned, squinting against the sunlight, and saw her. Lyra. Even at 7 years old, she moved with a grace that seemed almost unnatural for a child. Her green, almond-shaped eyes sparkled with mischief, framed by hair that shimmered like strands of emerald caught in sunlight. Humans often stared at her when she visited the colony. Her species, the Varelians, had features that were unusual and alien to most human eyes. But to Tarek, she had always felt like the truest kind of friend. "I'm not afraid," he said, puffing his chest. "I can climb this cliff faster than you." Lyra tilted her head, a small smile playing at her lips. "Faster? You've said that before, and yet I always beat you." Tarek laughed. "That's because you cheat." Cheating, she hopped to a higher rock, her small feet barely making a sound. "I call it skill." They had been inseparable for months during her stay on the colony. The Varelians were traders traveling between star systems, and Lyra's family had come with a fleet of sleek ships carrying goods that humans could scarcely imagine. But Tarek didn't care about ships or trade goods. He cared about climbing cliffs, exploring valleys, and laughing with Lyra as they raced along the rocky terrain, pretending they were heroes from stories of old Earth legends. "You know," Tarek said, suddenly serious, "when we grow up, maybe you could, I don't know, marry me." He laughed nervously, waving his hand as if brushing off the words. "Just kidding." Lyra froze for a moment. Her wide eyes looked at him seriously, not with the playful teasing he expected.
"Are you kidding?" she asked, her voice calm, almost too calm.
Tarek laughed again, louder this time, hoping she would join in. "Of course! Just a joke, Lyra. Don't take it seriously." But Lyra's gaze didn't waver. She tilted her head, as if weighing his words against some hidden truth. "I will remember that," she said quietly. Tarek blinked, not sure how to respond. Children didn't talk like that. Usually she would have laughed or shoved him playfully, but this time she just smiled faintly and turned to run, her laughter echoing down the cliffside. From that moment, the word stayed with him, lodged somewhere between memory and imagination. He shrugged it off at first, telling himself it was nothing more than a child's promise, a silly joke between two friends. The days that followed were full of the usual adventures. They ran across the plains chasing solar gliders, small robotic insects sold in the colony's market, sometimes used to train for agility and focus. They explored caves deep in the cliffs, marking each discovery with their own secret symbols. And every night, when the sun sank behind the jagged horizon and the sky turned into a palette of crimson and gold, they would sit on the highest cliff and talk about the stars. "Do you think humans can ever leave this planet?" Tarek asked one evening, kicking a loose stone over the edge. Lyra tilted her head. "Leave? Why would you want to? The universe is dangerous." "I want to see it," he said. "I want to see the stars up close, not just through a telescope. I want to explore, maybe even find other humans out there." Her eyes glittered with a mixture of awe and caution. "You're brave, or foolish."
Maybe both. They laughed, and for a moment, the weight of their worlds, one human, one alien, didn't matter.
In that cliffside kingdom, they were just two children, friends bound by curiosity and daring. But the days were numbered. Lyra's family was only visiting the colony temporarily, and soon they would have to leave. When the announcement came, Tarek tried to hide his disappointment, but he could not hide it completely. The morning of her departure, the colony's landing pads were filled with her family's fleet. Sleek Virelian ships shimmered under the twin suns, engines humming with energy. Tarek stood at the edge of the cliff, watching Lyra move among the adults, her small frame dwarfed by the towering figures of her parents and guardians. "Don't forget your promise," Lyra whispered suddenly, stepping beside him. Her green eyes were bright, almost glowing in the sunlight. Tarek blinked. "Promise? What promise?" "The one about marrying me," she said simply, as if stating a fact rather than a memory. Tarek's face turned red. That was just a joke!" Lyra's expression didn't change. She smiled faintly and reached out to touch his arm. "I know, but some jokes are worth remembering." Before he could respond, she turned and ran toward her family's ship. The engines roared to life, lifting her off the ground. Tarek's heart sank as he watched her rise into the sky, a small green streak against the brilliant blue of the atmosphere. Years passed, and the memory of that day never faded. Tarek grew up learning to pilot ships, to navigate through asteroid belts, to trade and barter in systems where humans were rare. He became known for his cleverness, able to find solutions in impossible situations. But no matter where he went, no matter how many stars he crossed, he never forgot Lyra, the green-eyed Virelian who had taken a childhood joke seriously and left a promise dangling in the void. Then, one evening, years later, as Tarek piloted a cargo ship through a quiet stretch of space near the outer rim, his ship's sensors picked up an anomaly. At first, it seemed like a simple distress signal, weak and fragmented, but something about it made his chest tighten. He set a course for the signal. When he arrived, he found a vessel unlike anything he had ever seen. Sleek, elegant, and humming with energy, it hovered silently in the void. And then he saw her, Lyra. No longer a child, she stepped from the vessel with confidence and poise. Her long hair flowed in zero gravity, and her green eyes, still as sharp and bright as he remembered, locked onto his. She was taller, stronger, and the energy around her hinted at abilities beyond anything humans could comprehend. "Tarek," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "Do you remember your promise?" Tarek swallowed hard. "Lyra."
"You're back." "I am," she said, stepping closer.
"And I've come to claim what you promised me when we were children." Tarek laughed nervously, trying to hide the sudden fear creeping into his chest. "Wait, you mean that was serious? You actually—" He trailed off, unsure how to finish the thought. Lyra's eyes sparkled, and she raised an eyebrow. "Did you think I would forget?" For the first time, Tarek realized the depth of the challenge before him. This was no longer a game of climbing cliffs or racing through valleys. Lyra was serious, and she was powerful, far beyond the abilities of any human he had ever known. If he wanted to meet her again, if he wanted to prove himself worthy, he would need more than luck. He would need courage, wit, and the resourcefulness that humans often overlooked but that had always kept them alive in a universe that underestimated them at every turn. Tarek looked at her, a mixture of awe and fear in his chest.
I don't...
"You can," she interrupted gently, yet with a firmness that brooked no argument. "Humans have a way of surprising me. Let's see if you still do." And with that, she stepped onto his ship, her presence filling the cabin with an energy that made the controls hum and the lights flicker. Tarek realized that the adventures of their childhood were only a beginning. The universe was vast, full of danger and mystery, and somehow the green-eyed Virelian girl had returned to pull him into it. Tarek took a deep breath, gripping the controls with renewed determination. "All right," he said. "Let's see what I can do." Lyra smiled faintly, a mixture of challenge and admiration in her gaze. "Good. That's all I ask." "Just don't forget, some promises are never too small to be remembered." As the ship rose from the outer rim of the colony and entered the silent expanse of space, Tarek realized that his life had changed forever. The child who had once made a joke now faced the weight of it, and the human spirit, creative, daring, and unpredictable, would be tested in ways he had never imagined. In the vast darkness, with stars stretching endlessly ahead, one thing was certain: the adventures were only beginning, and somewhere deep inside, Tarek felt a thrill he hadn't felt in years. The thrill of proving that humans, underestimated though they were, could shine even among the stars. The moment Lyra stepped onto Tarek's ship, the cabin hummed with an unfamiliar energy. The lights flickered slightly, and the controls pulsed beneath his hands as if aware of her presence. Tarek took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He had faced dangerous cargo runs, rogue traders, and asteroid storms, but nothing had prepared him for this: a Varelian returning to claim a promise from childhood. And she was not a child anymore. Lyra looked around the cabin with curious eyes, touching the walls and equipment lightly, her fingers leaving faint trails of energy that dissipated like smoke.
"Your ship is
"Interesting," she said, her voice calm but critical. "Primitive, yet functional." Tarek chuckled nervously. Well, humans have a way of making things work, even when we don't have the tech others do. She raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. I have heard that before.
Perhaps it is time you prove it. Prove it? Tarek asked, feeling a flicker of excitement and dread.
About what? Lyra stepped closer, her green eyes locking onto his. About yourself.
About humans. You made a promise once, even if it was a child's joke.
Now I want to see if your species is worthy.
Tarek's heart pounded. He had always been resourceful, clever, and quick-thinking. But this was on a level beyond any normal test.
"Okay," he said, forcing confidence into his voice.
"Tell me what I have to do." She smiled faintly, a mix of challenge and admiration in her gaze. "The first test is simple, in theory. Navigate through the Karas asteroid belt and reach the signal at its center. Many have tried and failed."
Humans? Perhaps you can succeed in ways the Varelians cannot predict.
Tarek's eyes widened. The Karas belt was notorious throughout the sector. Its massive asteroids shifted constantly, and rogue debris traveled at impossible speeds. Even the most advanced navigation systems often failed. But he knew he couldn't back down. Not now, not with Lyra watching. "All right," he said, gripping the controls. "Let's do this." The ship shuddered as he pushed the engines to full power, maneuvering between massive asteroids that loomed like mountains in space. Lyra observed silently, occasionally touching panels that adjusted the ship's trajectory in ways Tarek didn't fully understand. Her presence was both calming and unnerving. Hours passed as they weaved through the belt. Rocks collided, creating showers of sparks, and massive debris shifted unpredictably. Tarek relied on intuition, honed instincts, and the human tendency to improvise. When a massive boulder suddenly blocked the path, he didn't panic. Instead, he rigged a magnetic pulse from the ship's engine to push it aside, a solution no Varelian would have attempted without overthinking. "Interesting. Humans are inventive." She did not sound surprised, but there was respect in her voice. When they finally reached the center of the belt, a small beacon floated in space. Tarek docked carefully, and the ship's systems acknowledged his success. Lyra stepped forward, her expression unreadable. "You succeeded," she said. "But the journey has only begun. You have proven you can survive where logic fails. Now, let us see if you can think beyond survival." Tarek swallowed hard. He had felt the thrill of success, but her words reminded him that this was not about glory. This was about proving the human spirit. Imagination, courage, and adaptability in ways the universe often underestimated. Lyra led him to the next trial, an abandoned station at the edge of a neutron star's orbit. The station was dark, its systems failing, and reports said it was impossible to restore. Lyra gestured toward the controls. Your task is to bring it online. If humans can repair what others deem impossible, then perhaps your species has value beyond survival instincts. Tarek stepped forward, scanning the panels. The systems were alien, far beyond human design, yet he noticed patterns that seemed familiar. Using basic logic and careful observation, he began rerouting power, stabilizing the energy flow, and gradually bringing life back to the station. Lyra watched silently, occasionally nodding or pointing out adjustments he had overlooked. Hours turned into a tense night. Sparks flew, panels lit up, and the station groaned as if awakening after centuries of sleep. Finally, the main console flickered to life. Lights glowed steadily, air systems hummed, and the sensors began transmitting again. Lyra stepped closer, her expression softened for the first time.
Humans, you are more capable than I expected.
Resourceful, bold, and unafraid to try what others would deem impossible. Tarek exhaled, relief washing over him.
I guess, but we're not done.
Are we?
No, Lyra said, her smile returning. The final trial is one of intellect and strategy.
Not survival, not improvisation, but understanding the mind of the opponent and predicting their actions. We will face the simulations of the Varelian Council, tests designed to challenge even the most advanced intelligence of our species. If you can navigate them, then perhaps humanity can claim respect among the stars.
Oh.
Tarek felt a thrill of anticipation mixed with fear. He had faced pirates, traitors, and dangerous space phenomena, but this was a game of intellect against beings who had lived centuries longer and had technology far beyond human reach. But he also felt a spark of pride. Humans were underestimated constantly, yet time and again they surprised others with ingenuity, daring, and creativity. Lyra led him to the simulation chamber. Inside, holographic displays surrounded them, projecting complex patterns of movement, alien landscapes, and scenarios where strategy could mean life or death. Tarek took a deep breath, letting his instincts guide him. The first scenario was a space battle simulation, where he had to maneuver a small ship against overwhelming odds. Using clever tactics, misdirection, and exploiting weaknesses in the holographic fleet, he managed to outmaneuver the virtual opponents. Lyra observed silently, occasionally making subtle notes or adjusting parameters to increase the challenge. Next came a logic and puzzle test. Holographic symbols shifted constantly, creating patterns that even Varelians sometimes struggled to decode. Tarek focused, noting the sequence of movements and using simple but effective reasoning to solve them. Again, Lyra's eyes glimmered with a mixture of admiration and curiosity. Hours passed, and Tarek worked tirelessly, each trial pushing him further than he had imagined. By the end, he was exhausted, but he had succeeded in every scenario, proving that human ingenuity could compete with the best of Varelian intellect. Lyra stepped forward, her expression unreadable at first. Then, slowly, a small smile appeared. I am impressed, she said softly.
You are clever, resourceful, and daring. You have succeeded where most would fail.
Humans are more capable than I gave them credit for.
Tarek felt a rush of pride, but also a strange humility. Thanks.
I couldn't have done it without your guidance.
Ooh. Lyra tilted her head.
Guidance? Perhaps. But it was your mind, your instincts, your humanity that made the difference. Never underestimate yourselves, Tarek.
Never let anyone tell you that humans are weak or inferior. We Varelians often do, but we are wrong.
Tarek nodded slowly, understanding. This was more than a personal challenge. This was a test of what humans could do when pushed beyond limits, when underestimated, when forced to rely on creativity and courage rather than sheer strength. As they left the simulation chamber, Lyra turned to him. "There is one more part to this journey," she said, her voice serious now. "Not a test, but a choice. You must decide whether you will join me in exploring the universe. There will be danger, uncertainty, and challenges you cannot imagine. But there will also be opportunity, adventure, and the chance to prove that humanity can shine among the stars." Tarek looked at her, the memories of childhood adventures flashing in his mind, climbing cliffs, racing through valleys, and the promise he had made, jokingly, all those years ago. But this was no longer a joke. This was reality, and the choice was his.
He began, then paused, taking a deep breath. "I think I want to try. I want to see what humans can do. I want to see the stars."
Lyra's eyes lit up with satisfaction. "Good. That is all I ask." Courage, curiosity, and determination. Humans have these in abundance, though many fail to realize it.
You, Tarek, have shown me that sometimes even a child's promise can reveal the strength of a species. For the first time in years, Tarek felt a sense of purpose beyond survival or profit.
He felt part of something bigger, a chance to prove that humanity, clever, daring, and unpredictable, could hold its own among the greatest civilizations of the galaxy. And as the stars stretched endlessly beyond the hull of his ship, Tarek realized that this was only the beginning. With Lyra by his side, he would face challenges that no human had faced before, navigating dangers, solving impossible problems, and proving that the human spirit could shine, even in the darkest corners of space. Lyra smiled again, her gaze firm and unwavering.
"Prepare yourself, Tarek. The universe does not wait for the timid, and it certainly does not wait for the unprepared."
"But I believe you are ready. Let us see how far humanity can reach." As the ship accelerated into uncharted space, Tarek gripped the controls with renewed determination. He did not know what lay ahead, what dangers or wonders awaited them, but one thing was certain. He would face it with ingenuity, courage, and the spirit of a human who refused to be underestimated. And for the first time in years, Tarek felt truly alive, ready to meet the universe not just as a human but as a representative of a species capable of surprising anyone, even a Virelian. The stars stretched endlessly before Tarek as he piloted the ship, Lyra beside him, her presence calm but intense. He had never felt more alive, or more challenged. The previous trials had tested his ingenuity and courage, but what lay ahead promised danger that could not be predicted. Lyra had warned him. Survival alone would not be enough. He would need strategy, quick thinking, and the stubborn determination that humans often relied on when facing impossible odds. "We are approaching the sector," Lyra said, her voice precise, yet carrying a note of excitement. The simulations and the asteroid belt were only a beginning. "Here you will face real threats, and I will see if your species truly belongs among the stars." Tarek swallowed hard. He had expected more tests, yes, but the calm way she spoke made him realize this was no longer a game. "Real threats? What kind of threats?" he asked, gripping the controls tightly. Lyra's eyes met his, unwavering. "Pirates, rogue Virelian factions, and anomalies you cannot imagine. They test not only skill, but judgment and courage. You will need to rely on your instincts, your creativity, and, most importantly, your humanity." He nodded. The word struck him in a way that made his chest tighten. Humanity. Often underestimated, frequently dismissed, yet somehow humans endured. Through cleverness, resilience, and unpredictability. If Lyra believed in it, he would prove her right. Their first encounter came sooner than expected. A band of rogue Virelian ships emerged from behind a dense asteroid cluster, weapons gleaming, engines roaring. Tarek's ship shuddered as their sensors locked onto them. Lyra's calm hand hovered over a control panel.
They seek to stop us. They think you are an easy target.
Let us see if humans can survive when cornered. Tarek's mind raced. In situations like these, experience was crucial, but instinct mattered more. The rogues expected a straight path, predictable maneuvers, and hesitation. He would give them none of it. "Hold tight," he said, taking a deep breath. He pushed the engines forward, weaving between asteroids in sharp, unpredictable patterns. The enemy ships fired, lasers streaking across space, but Tarek anticipated each move. He exploited the shifting positions of the rocks, using them as cover and shield, and in moments where logic dictated caution, he acted boldly, taking risks that would have seemed reckless to anyone else. Lyra observed silently, her eyes narrowed in focus. For the first time she spoke, her voice calm but pointed. "Do not underestimate their predictability. Think beyond their patterns. Outthink them." Tarek's mind clicked. He realized the pirates expected him to flee in fear. Instead, he baited one ship into a narrow corridor between two massive asteroids. Using the ship's limited weapon systems, he triggered a magnetic pulse that pulled the rogue ship into the rock. Sparks and debris flew, and the remaining pirates hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. Humans had a way of turning limitations into advantage. Tarek pushed the ship into a sudden spiral, breaking all expectations, and used a combination of speed, maneuvering, and improvisation to escape. The rogue faction, confused and beaten, disengaged, retreating into the depths of the asteroid field. Lyra's green eyes gleamed with approval. "Very good. Humans are unpredictable. Clever, in ways the Varelians do not expect." Tarek exhaled, adrenaline still coursing through his veins. "Thanks, I guess." The battle had been just the beginning. Lyra guided him to a region dense with spatial anomalies, pockets where gravity twisted and time seemed to stretch or compress. The navigation systems quivered under the strain, warnings flashing across the panels. "Here, intuition matters more than instruments," Lyra said. "Trust yourself," Tarek gritted his teeth. "Instruments were useless here." Sensors fluctuated. Readings became unreliable, and every path seemed simultaneously correct and deadly.
He closed his eyes for a brief moment, recalling childhood games of climbing cliffs and leaping across gaps with nothing but instinct.
Somehow, that same daring that kept him alive as a boy now applied in the void of space. He relied on intuition, shifting course at the last moment, spinning the ship in unexpected ways, and dodging gravitational anomalies that threatened to crush them. Lyra remained calm, occasionally pointing out subtle shifts in the field, but mostly observing. By the time they emerged, Tarek was exhausted, but alive, and more importantly, victorious. "Humans have courage," Lyra said softly, almost to herself. "And creativity." "I had underestimated you. The third trial came unexpectedly." They approached a derelict station drifting near a collapsed star. The station was enormous, its hull scorched and twisted, energy flickering sporadically. Lyra explained that within the station was a system critical to the safety of nearby colonies, now dormant and considered irreparable. "Humans cannot match Varelian technology," Tarek said, examining the exterior. "I don't even know where to start." Lyra's gaze was steady. "You will start where your instincts tell you. Where humans find solutions, others fail. It is not about matching our technology, but about using what you have wisely." Tarek entered the station cautiously, the air thick with dust and the scent of burned circuits. He studied panels, observed the patterns of failing energy flows, and began connecting systems in ways that were unconventional. He jury-rigged power conduits, bypassed broken circuits, and rerouted energy from less essential systems to vital ones. Every step was a risk. A wrong connection could cause an explosion or collapse a section of the station. Hours passed, sparks flew, alarms beeped, and Tarek's hands grew sore. But finally, with a final adjustment, the systems hummed to life. Lights flickered steadily, Air filters began functioning again, and sensors lit up, feeding data to the consoles. Lyra stepped beside him, her green eyes wide.
Impressive. You repaired what many Virelians deemed impossible.
Humans can surprise indeed. Tarek leaned back, wiping sweat from his brow.
Sometimes it's not about having better tech.
It's about seeing what others cannot see, thinking differently.
Lyra smiled faintly. Exactly.
That is the essence of humanity, and it is what makes your species valuable, even in the eyes of those who underestimate you. But there was no time to rest. As Tarek emerged from the station, a new alert flashed across the ship's systems. A rogue Virelian warship had been tracking them, now converging rapidly. Lyra's voice was calm but firm. They have followed. You will need to outthink them, not just outmaneuver them. Strategy is key. Tarek's mind raced. He studied the ship's trajectory, the pattern of weapons fire, and the environment around them. He realized the warship expected him to flee or fight head-on. Instead, he plotted a path through a dense cluster of debris and microasteroids, using the environment as a weapon. The rogue ship fired relentlessly, but Tarek anticipated each shot, weaving between obstacles, creating confusion, and setting traps using the ship's limited energy shields. At a critical moment, he triggered a feedback pulse that temporarily disabled the warship's systems, giving them a chance to escape. Lyra's expression softened, admiration evident. You do not merely survive, you adapt. Humans are underestimated at every turn, and yet you prove them wrong. Exhausted but triumphant, Tarek leaned back in his seat.
I think I'm beginning to understand. Humans
We're not just survivors. We're clever, unpredictable, and persistent. Lyra nodded. Yes, and that is why you succeed where others fail. Your species has an edge that cannot be measured by strength or technology alone. Ingenuity, determination, and adaptability. These are the qualities that make humans formidable. The ship floated silently through space, the distant stars twinkling like scattered diamonds. Tarek looked out at them, feeling the weight of what they had accomplished. He had faced dangers that could have ended him, solved problems that seemed impossible, and navigated threats that would have destroyed less daring pilots. And through it all, he realized that humans, often underestimated, had a way of rising to challenges in ways that left even the most advanced civilizations in awe. Lyra spoke again, her voice calm but purposeful. There is one final step before our journey can truly begin. You have proven skill, creativity, and courage. But you must also understand the importance of trust, partnership, and strategy. The next challenge will test your ability to work with another being as an equal. Tarek nodded, feeling a surge of anticipation. He had faced the universe alone many times, relying on his own skills. But now he realized that true strength lay not only in personal ability, but in cooperation, in combining human ingenuity with Virelian experience. Together they set course for the next destination, a dense, uncharted nebula known for its unpredictable energy storms. Here, they would need to navigate not only the physical dangers, but also complex environmental puzzles that would test their ability to work as a team. As the ship accelerated toward the glowing clouds of gas and light, Tarek felt a thrill unlike any other. He was no longer just a human pilot. He was a representative of a species that could surprise, adapt, and thrive even in the most challenging conditions. With Lyra by his side, he would face the universe not as a lone explorer, but as part of a partnership that combined courage, ingenuity, and the best of both species. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, a reminder that the universe was vast, dangerous, and full of opportunity. And Tarek knew, with a certainty that filled him with both excitement and determination, that humans could shine even in the darkest corners of space, proving time and again that they were never to be underestimated. Lyra's gaze met his, and for the first time, there was a hint of warmth in her expression. Prepare yourself, Tarek. The real tests are about to begin. But I have faith in you, in humans. Let us see what you are truly capable of. Tarek gripped the controls, feeling the thrill of adventure and the weight of responsibility. I won't let you down, he said quietly. Lyra smiled faintly. I know you won't. That is why I returned. And with that, they entered the nebula. The swirling clouds of gas and energy, promising challenges that would push Tarek and humanity beyond limits they had never imagined. The adventure was far from over, and the true test of human ingenuity, courage, and spirit was only beginning. The nebula stretched before them like a living ocean, glowing with colors that shifted from deep purple to fiery orange, swirling unpredictably. Tarek's ship shook as electromagnetic storms crackled across their path, the hull straining under the invisible forces. He gritted his teeth, gripping the controls tightly. Lyra sat beside him, calm as ever, her green eyes scanning the shifting patterns with a precision he could only admire. This is where it becomes dangerous, Lyra said softly. Not just the storms, but others. Rogue Virelians patrol this region. They do not welcome intruders, Tarek swallowed. Rogue Virelians. He had heard stories, factions that had broken from the main council, merciless and skilled, seeking power and territory. And now, with him aboard, humans would be their target. They'll try to stop us? He asked, his voice tense. Lyra's eyes narrowed. They will try. They think humans are weak. Let us see if they are right. No sooner had she spoken than the sensors beeped furiously. 3 ships emerged from the colorful haze, sleek and menacing, weapons powered up, targeting their ship immediately. Tarek's heart raced. He had survived the asteroid belt and the rogue simulations, but this was different. Real ships, real weapons, and lives at stake. He glanced at Lyra, who gave him a small nod. Trust yourself. Trust humanity. Tarek nodded. He activated the shields and dodged the first volley of energy blasts. The nebula storms made navigation unpredictable. The ships could hide, and so could he. He began weaving through the plasma clouds, drawing on instinct honed from years of piloting through dangerous routes. Every move was a gamble, but humans had a knack for turning limitations into advantages. The first enemy ship aimed for a frontal attack. Tarek pushed the engines, spinning his ship in a sudden arc, narrowly avoiding collision. He noticed a cluster of dense plasma clouds ahead and led the pursuer into it. The ship's systems reacted violently to the storm, forcing the Virelian to struggle to maintain control. Tarek's ship, smaller and more nimble, slipped through the chaotic energy, disappearing momentarily from their sensors. Lyra's eyes glimmered. Clever. Humans think in ways we do not expect. The second enemy ship attempted to flank them from above, taking advantage of the nebula's visual distortions. Tarek quickly calculated a countermove. He used the ship's limited drone system, sending small decoy probes into the path of the enemy. The Virelian ship, mistaking the decoys for his position, fired upon them, causing a minor explosion that temporarily blinded their sensors. Tarek seized the opportunity, diving through a narrow tunnel of glowing gas, weaving unpredictably and putting distance between them and the attackers. The third ship was more cunning, keeping a steady distance and attempting to predict Tarek's maneuvers. This time, improvisation alone would not work. Tarek needed strategy. He studied the nebula, noticing a massive electrical storm forming ahead, a dangerous but promising opportunity. "We can use it," he muttered to himself. "It's risky, but it could work." Lyra leaned closer. "What are you thinking?" "I'll draw them into the storm. Their weapons and shields aren't designed to handle this turbulence. Humans, we survive by taking calculated risks." Lyra's eyes sparkled with approval. "Good. Let's see how your species handles true danger." Tarek led the rogue ship into the heart of the storm, weaving through arcs of electrical discharge, narrowly avoiding debris and energy surges. The enemy, less familiar with unpredictable human daring, struggled. Tarek waited for the right moment and activated a controlled pulse from the ship's engines, creating a magnetic field that amplified the storm's interference. The rogue ship's systems overloaded, forcing it to retreat in a series of sparks and smoke. Breathing heavily, Tarek glanced at Lyra. "Not bad, huh?" She smiled, faintly.
Not bad at all. Humans are adaptable.
Clever when survival is necessary.
But their trials were not over.
Another alert flashed. A rogue squadron had called reinforcements. 7 more ships were converging on their position, and the nebula's storms would make every maneuver deadly. Tarek's mind raced. He had survived dangerous asteroid fields, rogue simulations, and deadly storms, but facing 7 ships simultaneously required more than skill. It required ingenuity, teamwork, and trust. Lyra spoke calmly. "We will divide their attention. I can disrupt 2 ships' targeting systems, but the rest will rely on you and human unpredictability. Use the environment." Tarek nodded, adjusting his trajectory. As Lyra manipulated the energy flow around them, he led the ships into a swirling vortex of plasma and debris. One of the enemy ships attempted a direct attack, but Tarek used the ship's thrusters in short, unexpected bursts, dodging at the last possible moment. Another ship miscalculated and collided with debris, forcing it to retreat. Lyra focused her energy manipulation on 2 of the attackers, sending their systems into temporary chaos. The remaining ships hesitated, unsure of what tactics Tarek would employ next. Humans, after all, were unpredictable. Tarek smiled grimly. Time to show them why humans survive. He initiated a series of maneuvers no Varelian pilot would attempt, spinning the ship through narrow gaps, using the nebula's electrical currents as cover, and triggering feedback pulses that disoriented their targeting systems. He turned a hopeless battle into a strategic victory. By the time the last enemy ship disengaged, Tarek's body ached, and the ship's hull bore minor scars, but they had survived. Lyra's expression softened for the first time, pride evident in her gaze. "You see, Tarek," she said, voice calm yet filled with meaning, "humans are underestimated because others only see weakness. But ingenuity, courage, and persistence, these are strengths you cannot measure. You have proven it." Tarek exhaled, relief flooding through him.
I never thought I'd make it through that alive. Lyra shook her head. It is not luck. It is human spirit.
You think, you adapt, you survive where others fail. That is why I returned. That is why I sought you. They drifted silently through the nebula for a while. The danger passed, the stars dimly visible through the swirling gases. Tarek felt a strange mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. He had faced death, strategy, and chaos, and survived using ingenuity and courage. He realized that humans, often underestimated in a galaxy full of advanced civilizations, had a unique edge, creativity and daring that no algorithm could predict. But their trials were far from over. Lyra's voice broke the silence.
The final challenge of this journey is ahead.
Not survival, not improvisation, not even ingenuity alone. It is about partnership. To succeed, you must prove that humans can work alongside others as equals, combining skills to overcome impossible odds. Tarek's mind raced. He had relied on himself so far, trusting his instincts and abilities, but now it was about cooperation.
What do we need to do?
He asked. Lyra's eyes sparkled. We approach a rogue Varelian base. They have captured several ships and are using them as bait to trap anyone who enters.
We must free them, neutralize the base, and escape together. Only teamwork will ensure success.
Tarek nodded, adrenaline replacing exhaustion. Then, let's do it. As they approached the base, Tarek studied the patrol patterns, environmental hazards, and enemy defenses. Lyra contributed her superior knowledge of Varelian systems, guiding him through the most dangerous approaches. They combined human unpredictability with Varelian precision, forming a strategy neither species could have achieved alone. The operation was tense. Tarek piloted the ship through tight corridors, dodging automated defenses, while Lyra manipulated energy barriers and security systems. They freed captured ships, rerouting power to keep shields active, and created diversions to draw enemy attention away from escape routes. Each success depended on trust, communication, and the blending of their unique strengths. When the last ship was freed and the base neutralized, they emerged into open space, battered but victorious. Tarek leaned back, finally allowing himself to relax. I can't believe we did it," he said, smiling tiredly. Lyra's expression softened, pride and admiration evident. "You have proven more than survival, ingenuity, or courage. You have proven humanity can collaborate, adapt, and overcome impossible odds. This is why I returned.
This is why I sought you. You are worthy, Tarek."
Not as a child making a joke, but as a human who can shine among the stars. Tarek felt a surge of pride unlike any he had experienced. Humans, often dismissed, underestimated, and overlooked, had survived, adapted, and thrived in a situation that would have destroyed most others. And now, with Lyra by his side, he realized that their journey was just beginning. Together, as equals, they could face any challenge the universe dared to present. The nebulous colors shimmered around them, beautiful and dangerous, a reminder that the universe was vast, unpredictable, and full of opportunity. And Tarek knew with certainty that humanity could shine in even the darkest, most treacherous corners of space. Lyra's green eyes met his, the same intensity as when they were children, tempered now with understanding and respect. "Prepare yourself, Tarek," she said softly. "The universe does not wait for the timid, and it certainly does not wait for the unprepared. But humans, you may yet surprise us all." Tarek gripped the controls, a fierce determination settling in his chest.
"I won't let anyone underestimate us,"
he said. Lyra's faint smile said more than words could.
"I know you won't. That is why I returned." And with that, they ventured deeper into the nebula, ready to face whatever new challenges awaited them.
Humans had survived impossible tests, outwitted superior enemies, and proven that courage, ingenuity, and persistence could shine brighter than the most advanced technology. The adventure was far from over, but Tarek knew one thing for certain. The human spirit would never be underestimated again. The nebula stretched endlessly around them, glowing with colors that shifted like liquid fire. Tarek's ship cut through the swirling gases, shields humming against the turbulence. He had grown accustomed to danger, yet the weight of what lay ahead pressed on him. Lyra sat beside him, her calm presence steadying him even as their destination loomed. The rogue Varelian command station, hidden deep in the heart of the nebula. It was said to be impenetrable, a fortress built to trap anyone who dared approach. Tarek swallowed hard, feeling the mix of fear and excitement that had accompanied him through every challenge so far.
"Are we ready for this?"
he asked, his hands steady on the controls. Lyra's green eyes met his. "We are ready. But you must remember, this will test more than skill or courage. This will test judgment, strategy, and the ability to work together. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but that unpredictability is powerful when combined with knowledge and precision. Trust yourself and trust me." Tarek nodded. He had learned to trust her over the past weeks, through storms, rogue fleets, and deadly anomalies. Together, they had survived where others would have failed. And now, he realized, the final test was not about proving human ingenuity alone, but proving that humans could stand as equals in the galaxy. The rogue command station emerged from the nebula like a shadow, its surface jagged and metallic, dotted with turrets and energy sensors. Scans revealed dozens of ships trapped within, their engines disabled, their crews helpless. Tarek felt a pang of urgency, Every moment delayed increased the danger for those trapped. Lyra's hand moved over the controls, interfacing with the ship's systems. We will need a plan that uses both of our strengths.
I can manipulate their energy grids and shields, but you must navigate the environment and neutralize external defenses. Coordination will be key. Tarek nodded, taking a deep breath. He had faced overwhelming odds before, but this felt different.
This was not just a test of survival. It was a test of humanity itself. They approached cautiously, weaving through a field of floating debris. Enemy sensors scanned relentlessly, tracking their every movement. Tarek's ship moved unpredictably, small bursts of energy altering their trajectory in ways designed to confuse automated targeting systems. Lyra focused, sending pulses of energy to disrupt the station's shields temporarily, opening windows for them to move through. The first wave of automated defense drones activated, sleek machines with weapons designed to cut through even the toughest hulls. Tarek's mind raced. He calculated angles, speeds, and timing. Using the ship's thrusters and the nebula's electrical currents, he drew the drones into clusters of ionized gas, where they malfunctioned and exploded harmlessly. Lyra's voice broke the tense silence.
Excellent! Humans have a way of seeing opportunities others miss.
Your instincts are sharp. The next challenge came quickly. A squadron of rogue Varelian ships emerged, drawn by the movement of their attack. 7 ships, sleek and heavily armed, flanked them, attempting to cut off their approach.
Tarek glanced at Lyra. We'll need to divide and conquer.
Can you handle their shields while I lead them into the nebula's storms? She nodded.
Yes, but you must act decisively.
Hesitation is deadly here. Tarek's pulse quickened. He maneuvered the ship boldly, weaving through the chaotic currents of the nebula. The rogue ships fired relentlessly, but Tarek used unpredictability to his advantage. He led one ship into a trap of dense plasma clouds, then spun sharply, forcing another into a collision with debris. Lyra amplified the energy storms, destabilizing the remaining ship's shields and engines. Tarek's mind raced, calculating every move, predicting every reaction. Humans had survived by adapting, improvising, and daring where others would hesitate. Every instinct honed over years of piloting, every lesson from the trials with Lyra, culminated here. The final rogue ship attempted a flanking maneuver, approaching from an angle designed to catch them off guard. Tarek's hands moved instinctively, spinning the ship and activating a magnetic pulse that disabled the enemy's targeting systems. The ship drifted helplessly into the nebula, unable to pursue. For a brief moment, silence returned. The rogue forces had been neutralized. Tarek exhaled, feeling the weight of exhaustion mixed with exhilaration. "We did it," he said quietly. Lyra's green eyes met his, glowing with pride. "Yes, but the task is not complete. The station's internal systems remain locked, and the trapped ships still need guidance to escape safely. This is where human judgment will shine." Tarek's hands moved over the controls, coordinating with Lyra to reroute power through the station's energy grid. They worked seamlessly, combining her precise manipulation of Varelian systems with his instinctive problem-solving. Every obstacle, locked doors, failing energy conduits, malfunctioning systems, was overcome by human adaptability paired with Varelian expertise. Hours passed, tension never breaking. But finally, one by one, the trapped ships powered up, their crews sending grateful signals as they regained control. The command station's systems stabilized, and for the first time in years, the rogue force's power was dismantled. Lyra turned to Tarek, her expression softer than he had ever seen. "You have done more than survive or solve problems. You have proven that humans can think, adapt, and act decisively when it matters most. Your species has value, not just to survive, but to influence the galaxy itself."
Tarek leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated.
I didn't know humans could do all this either, he admitted. I always knew we were clever, but...
Wow. This is bigger than anything I imagined.
Lyra smiled faintly. Cleverness is only part of it.
Persistence, courage, and a refusal to be underestimated. These are human strengths. And you, Tarek, have shown them all. That is why I returned. That is why I sought you. For the first time, Tarek realized the depth of what had happened. The childhood joke, the promise he had made, had led him to prove humanity itself to an alien species that often dismissed humans as weak, and he had succeeded not by brute force but by ingenuity, daring, and the human ability to adapt. Lyra's expression softened further. The universe is vast and dangerous, but humans have something unique: creativity, courage, and unpredictability. Together, we can face whatever lies ahead. Will you join me, not just as a pilot, but as a partner?
Tarek's heart raced.
He remembered the cliffs of his childhood, the playful laughter, and the promise that had once seemed a joke. But now he understood that the promise had grown into something real, something meaningful. I want to, he said, voice steady with conviction. I want to see the universe, and I want humans to show that we can stand among the stars. Lyra's smile widened, warm and genuine. Then we begin a new journey, not as human and alien, but as partners, equals, and explorers of the unknown. The nebula's colors shifted around them, dangerous yet beautiful, a reminder that adventure awaited at every turn. Tarek felt a surge of excitement, unlike anything he had felt before. He was no longer just a pilot or a survivor. He was a human capable of daring, creativity, and courage that could outshine even the most advanced alien species. As the ship accelerated out of the nebula, stars stretched before them in endless patterns. Tarek realized that this was only the beginning. With Lyra at his side, they would face challenges, explore unknown systems, and prove that humanity could shine even in the darkest corners of space. Lyra looked at him, her green eyes sparkling.
Prepare yourself, Tarek. The universe does not wait for the timid.
But humans can surprise even the most advanced civilizations. Tarek gripped the controls, determination blazing in his chest. Then let's make them see what humans are capable of. And with that, they entered uncharted space together, a human and a Virillian, partners in a galaxy full of danger, mystery, and opportunity. The childhood promise had grown into a mission, a partnership, and a testament to the human spirit, clever, daring, and never to be underestimated. For the first time in years, Tarek laughed, not out of fear or relief, but out of pure exhilaration. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and he knew humanity's adventure was only beginning. Lyra smiled beside him. Welcome to the real journey, Tarek. The universe awaits. Tarek nodded, eyes bright with excitement. Then, let's go. As their ship soared into the endless expanse of the galaxy, humans had proven themselves once more, underestimated, yet capable of brilliance, courage, and triumph in a universe that doubted them. And Tarek knew, deep in his heart, that no matter what lay ahead, humanity would never be underestimated again. The stars stretched before them, infinite and full of possibility, and the adventure of two species, human and Virillion, had only just begun.